I have a very controversial take. Hello, Izzy, to start off today with. Loving to read is not the end goal of reading. Okay. I am a reading enthusiast. I love reading. I wish everybody loved reading. But today I want to talk to you about the actual goal of reading and learning to read, and then the two things that get in the way of any struggling reader actually learning to read. Okay. So I have an equation up here, and don't mind my setup. My husband is going to build me a stand for this thing, but right now it is very janky looking, and obviously Izzy can be front and center with this, but I have a little equation here. So our reading goal, like I said, is not loving to read. That is every parent's dream, of course. But the end goal of reading is actually reading comprehension. Woo, messy writing there. Woo, Izzy didn't help me. Reading comprehension, okay? We don't want kids to not understand what they read. We don't want kids to read something and then you ask them, well, what'd you read about? And they look at you like they have no idea, okay? Reading comprehension is the end goal. There are two main parts that every proficient reader needs. All right, I need to readjust here. There are two main things every single proficient reader needs in order to get here, okay? The first thing is word recognition. Okay. Word recognition is not going through sight words. Okay. There's a lot of, God, Izzy, your big head. There's a lot of mini skills that come along with word recognition. Something called phonological awareness. I hope you all can see this. I chose a purple marker, and now I'm realizing that it may not be the darkest. It's okay. I'm not going to re-record this. I'm not. Phonological awareness. You may hear this term get thrown around a lot, especially in kindergarten, first, second grade. Phonological awareness is simply the ability to hear sounds and parts of words and be able to manipulate them. So phonological awareness, things like rhyming, falls into phonological awareness. Being able to identify the first sound in a word, knowing how many syllables, so elephant, and changing out different sounds to make new words. So if I say mat, and then your child says mat, instead of say k. What's the new word? Cat. All of that is part of phonological awareness. This is the building block for being able to read words on a page. Okay, the other part is being able to decode. That's a fancy word for sounding out. Okay, we have to have that alphabetic principle there. We have to know that A can spell a, B, b, z, z. They have to know that very automatically in order for decoding to happen. Okay. The last part is sight recognition. We're not going to go down a rabbit hole today of sight words versus high frequency words. Sight recognition is basically the ability to recognize words very quickly. Okay. We all have sight word vocabulary. It all varies depending on who we are, what type of text we read. So we're not going to get into that, but this is more for familiar words. Okay. So all of these need to be in place in order for word recognition to happen. Okay. We can't get to reading comprehension unless we can read the words on a page. So a lot of people will say all you need is phonics. Phonics would fall into this word recognition bucket. Phonics is very important. Yes, you're going to hear about the reading wars if you haven't already. There's something called balanced literacy. There's something called structured literacy. Structured literacy is the evidence-based one. So if you hear balanced literacy, it sounds like, oh, nice balance of everything, but really they did not focus on this part. Balanced literacy focuses on if you just read more to them, they will pick it up. So just a little side quest there. So word recognition is the first thing that has to be in place for reading comprehension to happen. The second thing that has to be in place, and I think this gets looked over a lot, is language comprehension. Now, I think it gets looked over a lot, but I also think that for some groups of people, this is overutilized. So language comprehension is simply things like vocabulary. We have background knowledge, so how much you know about the topic that you're going to read. That's super important. Handwriting is awful today. It's okay. You're not going to judge me, right? So we have vocabulary, we have background knowledge, we have syntax. Ooh, syntax. So this is things like how sentences are structured, understanding the semantics and different meanings of words. So that's syntax. We also have things like metaphors and idioms. I taught a lot of English language learners when I was in the classroom, and this was really hard for them because if you say it's raining cats and dogs outside, you have to explicitly say that, oh, cats and dogs are not actually falling from the sky. These are English phrases that don't mean the literal thing that you think they mean. So this is also a part of language comprehension. Okay. So we have word recognition and we have language comprehension. Together, if a kid is skilled in both of these things, they should be able to comprehend a text. So I recently had an Instagram reel go viral. So right now it's up to like 250,000 views and thousands of comments. And the video was about reading comprehension. It was about this. And obviously I can't tell every piece of this inside a 60-second Instagram reel. So basically I said, if your child struggles to understand what they're reading, I have a list of questions that can help. Now, honestly, these lists of questions live here inside the language comprehension because we're building all of these things in order to get to here, right? You know that now because you just watched me explain that. But so I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations around this one video, around this one topic. And I didn't just give people what they were asking about because I knew that it could be a number of problems because their child is not here. So I would ask them, first of all, I asked them what age that their child was. That helps me get a sense for what type of skills that their child's working on. Then I said, does your child have a hard time sounding out words? Or do they read beautifully, but they don't understand what they read? I'd say about 90% of people who responded said they have a hard time sounding out words. So I'm not going to give them something about reading comprehension when we have a huge gap here. So then I was able to diagnose a little bit better. Okay, so they're in second grade, they can't sound out words. I'm going to give you something and come back to me and see if it's too easy, too hard. It's all about the decoding, phonological awareness, this word recognition side. Okay, so just because your child is here doesn't mean that we need to just keep reading to them, doesn't mean that we need to ask more questions after they are done. That means something here is missing. Okay, so 2 pieces to get to reading comprehension, which is the ultimate goal of reading, obviously the love of reading, but the love of reading cannot come without this too. So this is a precursor to loving to read. Word recognition and language comprehension.